Meat Start here, back again once again at Today People Today. Merry Christmas and everybody and all that. I'm coming at you with a very neat deck profile. It is the Starsential Zodiac deck. Now this is a little bit of interesting deck because this is a kind of a deck that I didn't just make just because I wanted to. This one is just for a shout out to one of the subscribers I have who was very committed to wanting me to build this because of how good it was and everything. So this is the Starsential Zodiac deck that's kind of like from the Triple D series, but a little better. However, this deck is not complete like most of my usual decks, which most people would know that. So we'll be starting out with one copy of the Star DD Dragon Zodiac. Definitely really good for if used for Legend World. All the star monsters at +3 power penetrate. If it was used for Star Dragon World, gets the ability to move and a +1 crit. Then with this, it has Gravity Rest, which is a really good card to use it just to pay a gauge and discard a card from your hand to rest in the opponent's monster, and it isn't a once per turn either. So it helps out for that kind of a pause for that situations. Now we have the buddy of it, which is the temporarily used. 2 copies of the Scorpio Starsential Scorpia, which is not that bad, just to pay 2 gauge, any of your size 2 or less, any of your stars that you call on your left or right, it becomes reduce their size by 2 instantly. So all your star cards for the deck become either a size 1 or a size 0 mostly, or any other way. So it helps out with that. Then we do next 1 copy of Cancer Starsential Cancel. Definitely good if you have 3 or more stars on the field. It doesn't matter for this if it's set spells or just the monsters on the field. It doesn't clearly specify on it, so it gets an additional +1 crit, which it has its own double attack. So it becomes a 10-3-8 with double attack. So it's not that bad to deal the 6 damage. Next up are 3 copies of Sagittarius Starsential Sagittario. Definitely really good. I usually use this card just to call it with its effect to discard and have top 2 into the gauge instantly. So that gives it an additional charge for that, while it being as usual for that particular spot. Next up, we run 2 copies of Gemini's Starsential Gemios. I just run it just because of I'd rather run like almost a constellation of the Zodiacs, which is the Starsential for the constellations. So this card is basically good just for that double attack use. Next up, we run 2 copies of Aquarius Starsential Aquario. Definitely really good. When you call him, you get a plus gauge equal to the number of star monsters on your field, excluding this one. So you just get that 2, you call in this, and then you get 2 more gauge on top of it. So it helps out with that additional place a bit more. Then we have 1 copy of Ares Starsential Ares. Good effect for the discard to destroy an opponent's item or set spell on the field, so it disrupts the plays, which also helps out for that discarded effect. Then we got the final of the Starsentials, Pisces Starsential Pisces. Really like this one and prefer this more over Ares, which is definitely good, or at any other of the Starsentials. This one is basically better off just using, because when it's discarded, you can call this without paying you call this from the drop zone instantly. And then when it enters the field, it doesn't matter from its own effect, or if it's just a normal call from the hand. You pay a life and you give any of your Starsential monsters any of your star choices by increased with 2,000 power and 2,000 defense. So it gets an even buffer for that kind of a situation. Now, one copy of Valkyrie, Orion, the Divine Will. I just use this because it's not that bad of ability. Just to call it by paying a gauge, and then when it attacks, and if I have an item on the field, draw a card. And it has the ability to move, so it's not that bad. It's not like my main choice, but it's definitely good. Next up, we run one copy of Virgil Origin. Orion, my bad. Definitely really good. You can discard the cards from your hand up to 2. And then you draw cards equal to the number discarded instantly. So you discard 2, and that gives the 2 more effects kicking in from the discarded abilities if you have those cards in the hand. And then you draw 2, then the additional effects that kick in. So like an additional draw card, or additional call from the drop zone, or just to destroy an opponent's monster or an item, or destroy opponent's monster. It does a whole lot. And it gives it additional draws as well if it wants to. So it's definitely really good. Then we run one copy of Skadar Castopian. Not the best choice, but it's definitely worth it. Because when you just call him, pay 2 gauge and put this card into the drop zone. If you do, call up to 2 size 2 or less monsters. Yeah, from your drop zone by paying their call cost. And you can only activate it once per turn. It's not like my very good option of one, you know? Because it requires it for you to pay 2 gauge instead of just paying like for 1 for something. This is why it's just okay-ish on my part, but it's definitely not worth of using. Then we got the main 4 cards, the good cards of the discards. 4 copies of Valkyrie, all known Awaldo. Everybody knows this card, and it's really good. Not because of that first effect it uses, which is the cards you cast with great spell in their name cannot be nullified. So that's like an okay-ish thing, but this deck doesn't run just because of that. It's because of this discarded effect. When it's discarded, you charge, and then you draw an additional card. So if you use a combo with the Virgil Orion, discard it, and then if you decide to discard another, you can do charge 2, draw 2, and then to draw 2 on the additional, so you'll be drawing 4 cards instead of 2 for that additional. So it's really good if you want to do that kind of a crazy combo. Finally, the last monster, 3 copies of Perseus Algol. Perseus Algol. Definitely really good because of its discarded ability. When it's discarded, you drop it of your opponent's gauge and send it to the drop zone. So it's really good just to minimize your plays. And if you have your discarded during your first turn, and it actually helps out really well with that choice. So there goes that. Then we have one for spells, Uninvited Deity Inspector. Might run more of that just for the spell wise. Paying life to call up to one monster with Zodiac in its name from your deck by paying its call cost. So you can instantly superior call your buddy, which is going to be eventually when this deck is complete, your Star Deity Dragon Zodiac. You can instantly superior call it just by paying a life and then you pay the 2 gauge. Instead of just you having to waste 1, even though it does require for you to do more. But it'll do, because it's instantly from the deck and you can call it from the hand if it's in there as well. Next up, 1 copy of Illusion of the Void Deity. Choose a monster with a size 3 monster on your field. It remains in the field, and you gain a life. And that number Yeah, and that monster remains in the field. Yeah, so basically, you just instantly get your Zodiac to stay in the field, or your Excorpia or Cancel on stay in the field, that most of them are the size 3s. So you can easily save yourself from all that. Next up, we're running one copy of Light of Guidance. Definitely really good because of its discard, just the cast cost on it, just to discard a card. So even more additional effects will kick in for discarded effects if you're discarding some monsters with discarded abilities. So it's really good. Not only that, nullify any attack. Well, you put the top card of your deck into the gauge, then the next time you would take a damage is reduced to 0. So basically, you nullify the attack easily for that turn, and then a top card deck into the gauge additional, while having more effects kicking in. So it helps out for that. Next up, 4 copies of Sentinels of the Stars. Love this spell. Love it. Because you only get casted if you have a star on the field. Doesn't matter if it's an item, set spell, or a monster. Call it. Cast this just to put the top 2 cards. Yeah, put the top 2 cards of the deck into the gauge. Then you discarded a card. And you know how this deck loves, so with the discarded abilities, then if you discard it, gain 2. And then if you do, gain 2 life additional. So it really helps out just to gain that life boost, have them additional abilities kicking in, and you can go off like a maniac. Next, 1 copy of Starfall Knight. Not okay with this one, but it's okay-ish. You can call a size 1 or less monster, star monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost. That's it. Which I'm not a huge fan with, because it requires of the paying the call cost instead of saying without. That way it would have been good to just to have that discard and then have the monsters out to kick in to do all that. Now for set spells. 3 copies of Brilliance of the Yellow Path. Not bad of a spell, I should say. It's a really good one. Because with this, from a pain, a gauge, and a life, remains in the field, all stars on your field gets a +1 crit, and that includes for the monsters mostly. So it helps out with even more crits kicking in and dealing even more damage when you have a Cancel combo with this. So it's really good for all that situation. And next up, 2 copies of Great Fate Frozen Stars, which is not that bad. I would say just to pay 2 gauge. If 3 or more, if there are star on your field, on your left and right, which means on these columns, so for your left and right, if you have them both out, nullify all abilities of cards on your opponent's field and in the soul of the opponent's cards. So for Star Dragon World, they have a huge deal impact when they have their effects kicking in from the soul. So with this just nullifies it as soon as you get 2 of your stars instantly in the field from the left and right. So you have even more combo plays for that. Now for the multicolor spells and the main defenses. We have 3 copies of Divine Guidance. Definitely really good if you have a Zodiac monster on your field. Nullify the attack, and you gain a life as additional for that. So it's not bad at all. Then 3 final spell, 3 copies of Medusa Shield. Pay a gauge to nullify if you do not have a monster on your center. Well, cast it during your opponent's turn, pay a gauge, nullify the attack, and then if you have more than one star, if you have 2 or more stars on your field, the effect of this spell cannot be nullified. So you easily have, doesn't matter for item, monster, or spell, cast it 2 or more, that's an instant of a cannot be nullified. So it's your indestructible defense. On to the items. 2 copies of Star Pool Sword Estaria. Definitely really good. Pain a gauge and a life. If you have a monster with Zodiac in its name on your field, all of your original size 2 stars become a size 0 instantly. And it can attack even if you have a star in your center. So with Zodiac, it's a good combo with this item for that combination. Now finally, 2 copies of Esperonar. Not that bad. Pain of life. If you have a star monster on the field, it can attack even if you have the monster in the center. And if you have a Neo Dragon out, it gets a +1 crit. So meaning, if you have a Star Deity Dragon Zodiac, it's a both Star and a Neo Dragon. So you get that instant of a 2 effects kicking in at the same time. +1 crit, and can attack even if you have a monster in the center. Now finally, for the impact. 4 copies of Super Gravity Device Gravitation Generator. It's definitely a good card for situations. Just only to cast this if you have a monster with a Zodiac in its name, pay 2 gauge, then 2 effects will kick in. For 2, all cards in your opponent's field cannot be rested during their turn, and for each rested card, they take damage equal to that number. So that's an instant of 4 damage. Because the item being arrested, but if you're facing against a Dragon Ion, that's going to be 5 damage. And if you have more impacts, more gauge for this impact, you could easily do a whole lot of damage in 1 turn. So it definitely really helps out with that. And now, I have a side deck, which is not that much, but it's worth it. 2 copies of Shine Blade Joker. Not that bad. Just to, if you have discarded cards from by your own card effects, you can call this without paying its call cost, which is paying the 4 gauge for a size 0. So it's if you don't do the discarding. But luckily, this deck is all about discarding, so this card helps out. And then, its own ability. When this card enters the field, you gain a life in additional. So, even if you pay 4 gauge, or if you activate an effect of a discarded effect from your own card effects, then you just call this for free and gain a life additional. Finally, 3 copies of Alun's Ring. A very powerful defense spell, if I would say so. Because what it does is, you can only cast this card if you are being attacked. Doesn't matter if you have a monster in the center, if you have to have a monster in the center or not. Counter, nullify the attack, then discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw a card and gain a life. So that's an additional card, which is a very good defense for you to just disrupt your opponent's plays additional more. So this deck can really do some heavy metal damage. But yes, as I said before, this deck goes into a shout. This deck is created as a shout out by one person. And he goes by the name in the Future Card BuddyFight community, Ghost Noob. Definitely really good guy. If you do ever have the chance to join in that community for Anemo, which Anemo is real good, which helps out for people that are like superhero fans, anything that, even including a TV show fan. You can do the role play for that kind of version, or just talk to people and get to know one another, so you can know people from out of state, from where you live, or outside of it. So it really helps out for all that. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, much as I did, and comment below for more deck profile ideas, comment below for more booster box openings that you want me to see, and comment below for any suggested videos that you want to see me open or do. So comment below on that. Spam on them comments, and smash that like button. Demolish it, obliterate it with everything you got on it. Because this had a lot of hard work and effort on it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you again. Merry Christmas. Flaming Sword here. I'm out.